we go. It's Chit Chat and Chapters. I'm Austin. She's Lauren. I hope you are having a fantastic day. Lauren, how are you doing?
Fantastic day. Just like you said, man. I mean, I am we are thriving today.
Absolutely. The end of 2025 is nigh. And I tell you what, 2026, it's looking like it's going to be some kind of year at the very least.
It is going to be a year at minimum.
Yeah, at the very least, a year will happen. Whatever else goes along with it, that is the question. So,
Yep.
but it's always good to take a look back at the year that was. And that's kind of what this episode is going to be. We're going to do a 2025 reading wrap up. And we are going to look ahead to 2026 with some goals, some things we're looking forward to, all that sort of stuff. A regular Spotify wrapped of our reading.
Absolutely. Those are my favorite. And I love that then on this year, everybody on TikTok was like, actually, no, please post your Spotify raps because I do, in fact, love lurking on other people's Spotify raps.
I do too. I love it so much. I think it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
fun. And I love when it's like, especially my guy friends, and it's like, Sabrina Carpenter was my number two artist. And it's like, what?
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
not
Yeah,
me, but like, I respect the hustle. I'm like,
for sure. No. One of Ben's best friends was hiding his. So it became a whole discourse in his group chat on who it was.
I'm gonna be honest. The last 4 years, my top two artists have just flip flop back and forth between the 502s and Good Morning Bedlam.
Yep.
Uh, they are like happy, folksy bands that just keep putting out great music, and I tell you what, they've just flip flop back and forth for 4 years. It's crazy.
Literally last year was the first year, and then it went back this year that the Jonas Brothers were not my number one artist. Yeah.
Whoa!
Ever since like 2019 when they started doing raps. Like I have
Yeah.
not had the Jonas Brothers not as my top artist except for last year, and then this
What,
year we were back.
what was it last year?
Kelsey, it was either Kelsey Ballerini or Post Malone. I think it was Post Malone because his country album came out.
Oh, that's yeah. It was a good. It was a good
It's
country
such a
album.
good album.
Really good album.
Yeah.
Liz has unfortunately gotten the mom wrapped, where it was a bunch of like Power Rangers made it into the top five. PJ Masks was up there, and she's
Yeah.
like, it's not me anymore. I'm not being Spotify wrapped.
Get Henry his Spotify because we
We,
can't
we
be we can't be
absolutely
messing
are.
with those numbers.
Yep, we have a family account that, so it's got like five spots or 5 or 6 spots in it,
Yep.
and we're trying to figure out who to kick off so that way Henry can have his own. So that way he can have his own wrapped.
That's fantastic.
But anyway, that's all music. Let's dive into some reading stuff. Why people are listening to this podcast, dang it.
Exactly.
So, Lauren, what books have you finished this week?
Okay, so I came to the realization literally like yesterday that I think Lauren's in a reading slump. It's a
Oh,
very weird feeling. It's a new feeling. We're not sure how we feel about it
okay.
because Atmosphere, Love Arranged, Good Spirits were all like 5-star incredible books. And then I got to Project Hail Mary, which I did finish. We're going to go into a deep dive. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But like that was ended up I did finally rate it a 4-star. I did finish
Okay.
it. But I think that's why it didn't hit quite the same because I had read so many consecutive back-to-back fuzzy, warm, lovely 5-star books that now I'm like I will just kind of wrap it all together. I'm currently reading Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace, an author that I love. She does some hockey romance stuff. And it's also not hitting. I don't care to pick it up. And
Oh,
so I fear I may be in a reading slump. And I think
wow.
that might have
Is
also
this a
been part of the
first for you?
problem. It is.
Man, listen. This is going to sound crazy for a guy who is on a book podcast. I hit a reading slump every time I finish a book. Like every single time, it is an effort to pull me into the next book.
Really?
Yes, 100%. Especially if it's not another in a series. Like, it truly is like, there were times this year where, and I'm currently in one, where the last book that I read was Project Hail Mary. I haven't picked up a book since then, and it's 3 weeks later.
Yep.
And it's just a mix of like, TikTok starts grabbing my attention more, and
Stupid phone games.
stupid phone games. I mean, the New York Times have so many individual daily games that I'm spending an hour doing that.
I'm really big on the LinkedIn games.
I saw you did like it's Zip or something like that, and I did it for like 3 days, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I need to stay away from
It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't help that I'm spending like half my day on LinkedIn right now.
Right, yeah,
But
that's for sure.
but that's the other thing is I'm mad about being in a reading slump because update for the pod, I'm unemployed currently. And so like
You have so much time.
I have so much time I could be reading and I just don't want to.
That's nuts. That's probably part of the problem, is
Yeah.
that there's just a surplus, and that creates that kind of disconnect. And so, the I don't have good advice for
Oh,
kicking out of a reading slump. I know that a lot of people like, oh, I go back and I read one of my favorite books, and I do this and I do this, and I'm like, that sounds dumb. I don't like that.
yeah. No. I usually like the only times that I've come close to this is like after Sunrise on the Reaping, I had a hard time, and usually what it takes is just one or two that I probably rate a little bit lower than I would have because I kind of slug through them, and then it ramps back up again. Like I kind of just
Yeah.
have to force my way through it.
Find a book that's like 280 pages.
Yep. Quick
Actually,
standalones.
yeah. Actually, hang on one second. Hold on. I know what you should read. Hold on.
Austin's got the Rex.
Okay. We're going to get into this, like, in just a minute, because I have to tell you about Florida. I know exactly what you should read, because
Okay.
I'm about to read them, and they
Perfect.
look horrible.
What is this?
Okay. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So, as for books that I have finished, none. Books I am currently reading, also none. Like,
Perfect.
I got nothing, okay? It's the holidays. I'm busy at work. I'm not. But I went to Florida for a powerlifting meet, took the kids, had a great time, lifted heavy things, squatted 534 pounds, baby.
Hey, yo.
Very good. Really happy with how the trip went. But the last, 2 hours before we got on the plane, we flew out of Sanford instead of Orlando because Sanford has direct flights to Omaha for a ton cheaper.
That's wild, but okay.
Yeah. And it's a smaller airport, so you're not waiting in line forever. It's not seriously, if you're flying Omaha to Orlando, just fly to Sanford. It's 15 minutes outside of Orlando. Yeah. Pro tip. But so
Austin's travel tips.
yeah. But so we're in Sanford, and we're there way too early, so we're like, well, let's just see what's around. Like, we would kind of like a little snack and, just kind of see what's around. We found a bookshop called Maya's Books and Music, and it's a secondhand bookstore. And at the moment that we walked up, I was like, this is going to be the best place ever. So
Yep.
it had tons of books. They all look like this, where it's like the cover isn't great, it's
Yeah.
not pristine, anything like that. But then tons of vinyl records as well. And so Henry was having a blast running around in there. The owner was so nice, it was really wonderful. But in the very front was, blind dating a book thing
Yeah.
where, yeah. So in front for $1.25 was a 2-pack of books, and it was in brown paper. It was like $1.25, and I was like, okay, thriller. I think it was thriller romance. Was
Amazing.
yeah, and I rip it open, and it's these two books. Now, this one, Beverly Long, her book Intrigue, Deadly Force, seems pretty standard. Like, it was his most personal cold case, and it was about to be reopened. right? Super, like,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. This book is 216 pages long.
Perfect.
I haven't looked it up on Goodreads. I'm sure it's like a two and a
I
half
wouldn't.
book.
Yeah,
I don't
just
think I
don't
will.
until you get done.
Yeah. Um, so that's one book. But I want to read you the back of this one. This is The Coltons of Owl Creek, Colton Threat Unleashed by Tara Taylor Quinn, a USA Today bestselling author.
Oh.
His dogs are under attack, ... and so is the mother of his unborn baby. The mother of his unborn baby is in smaller font than his dogs. What do you mean? What do you mean? Who's
In the title.
sabotaging Sebastian Cross's elite dog training facility? Or is his longtime friend, veterinarian Ruby Colton, the real target? The ex-Marine and feisty vet work together to find the culprit and prevent further carnage, until one night of passion leaves Ruby pregnant. Sebastian's PTSD and Ruby's fierce independence mean neither wants marriage and family, but deadly danger has a way of changing lives and love.
Amazing.
Uh,
Absolutely
283
iconic.
pages.
Iconic.
I'm so
Iconic.
excited to read that. It's going to be so awful.
It's gonna be so bad.
It's going to be so bad.
Oh god, it's so good.
See, that's what you need. You just need
Yeah.
a book that excites you, that is also under 300 pages and is probably terrible.
And zero expectations. Yep.
None. Zero.
100%.
Why does he care more about his dogs? Why? I don't get it.
And even the title being what? An abundance of Coltons at the Colton place.
Yeah. Colton Threat Unleashed, The Coltons of Owl Creek. Is his name Colton? No. Her name is Colton. Ruby Colton is the love interest, not the main character. Main character is Sebastian Cross. This is stupid. 75th anniversary edition. This is an old book.
My Lanta.
So exciting.
So funny.
So, but yeah, so that was what I got. And then I also got a Kingston Trio original vinyl from 1958. That was also there. All of it under $10. Like,
Amazing.
awesome.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. Highly recommend Maya's Music and More, or Books and Music store in Sanford, Florida, if you're ever around. So
Heck yeah.
that's how I'm going to bust out of my reading slump.
Yeah. I'm gonna be right there with you, man.
Perfect.
Because that's fantastic. That's iconic. Colton's quest for more Colton. I don't know. The Colton that out Colton them all.
Colton's of Owl Creek, Colton edition. Colt in. Colt ... in. If there's only one character whose last name is Colton in this book, I was lying too.
I'm 100%. I need at least 3 of the dogs' names to be Colton.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The unborn baby also better be Colton.
That's
Colton,
correct.
Colton.
Colton. It's gonna be the baby's name. Oh goodness. Whew. So, shall we dive into 2025 reading wrap up?
Let's talk numbers.
All right, that's coming up after those. Welcome back. It is time for the Chit Chat and Chapters 2025 reading wrap up. Austin, Lauren, we've crunched the numbers. We've looked deep into our Goodreads, and we now know what our 2025 looked like. And it's probably not going to change.
Before Goodreads did it for us. So also kudos to us.
Thank you for mentioning that. We did the legwork on this. We could have waited, but we wanted you to have this before the new year. So, we're just great like that. This is why we're the hardest working book podcast around.
For sure.
So, okay, right off the rip, we got to start off with how many books did we read in 2025? And I'm going to be honest, I don't see my number changing in the last couple of weeks, or the last week, whatever. So, I feel pretty confident I am going to say 37 books read this year. Which is,
Yay!
yeah. I was pretty pleased with that. My goal was 52, but that was
Okay.
back when I was doing the radio show where I did a book review every single week.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So, when I stopped working at the radio station, fell off reading a little bit, let myself slow down, let myself enjoy the books I was reading.
Yep.
So, so 37 books, and I feel pretty good about almost all the books I read. I think that I would say that most books ended up being 4 stars or above, and I think only a handful were sub 3, and I think I truly only had one DNF this year.
Good for
And
you.
yeah, so it was The Memory Thief. It was the only one that I
Oh,
truly
yeah.
left. So, but again, I still think that one is for a middle school English class.
You just stumbled upon a weird book. Absolutely.
So all right, Lauren, I can't wait to see this number. Okay, how many books did you read?
I read 106 books.
Hell yeah, dude!
And that
Triple
number
digits,
will
baby.
change. That number will change because I have at least two more I want to get through that I'm going to push through and get through by the end of the year.
There you go.
So, 106.
106 will be 108
Yep.
in
My
total.
goal starting the year was 30.
Fuck you.
Okay, so here's my logic.
I try not to swear on this podcast. I'm gonna be honest. I try and keep it PG-13. That I'm like, you suck. 30?
So here's my reasoning. I do have like good logic for it.
We'll see.
So when I started, if you go like on Goodreads, you can see your past challenges.
Yes.
And I started my challenges, I believe in 2018.
Okay.
Past challenges. I can even look really quick. 19, 18. No, 2015 is when I started like really kind of doing the challenges and keeping up with them. My goal in 2015 was 24 books. I wanted to read 2 a month.
Okay.
Then as I started to get back into reading and really pick it up,
Uh-huh.
in 2023, I fully committed to doing 30 books because I was
Okay.
like, that's slightly more than 2 a month. It's not quite 1 a week. It felt like a really good middle ground.
Yeah.
And to be fair, last year, 2024, I only read 54 books. This is the
Wow.
year that has really doubled and jumped and stuff. So
Yeah.
when you think of 54 books out of 30, cool. So I just
Mhm.
kept it at 30 for this year because I was like, again, that 2 a month plus a couple extra on vacation when I get to read a little bit more,
Sure.
whatever. Next year will be different.
I'm so curious what your goal for next year is. But when you say it now, yes, that logic makes sense as to
Yeah.
why that would be your books, your goal for the year. So it makes sense. It's funny. I looked at while you were talking, I pulled up my 2024 year in books, and it makes me feel a little bad. I'm gonna be honest because
Oh no.
my 2024 year in books, I read 36 books. So I read one more book than the previous year, which
Good
is
for you.
great.
Yep.
But right now we're getting into page count, and I read more pages in 2024 than I did in 2025. So my page count for 2025, 14,977, which means my average book length was divided by 37 was 404 pages.
Yeah.
And so but my 2024 15,318. So like my books were like 10 pages longer, not
Right.
really nothing, but I'm a little sad I didn't crack 15,000. I'm so close.
I know.
I guess I've got a little short book that I could try and get
Looks
done.
like you might get to 38 books.
Might be. Okay, so you read 106 books.
Uh-huh.
What's your page count?
34,000.
Hot damn.
So
Goodness.
so I'm on my laptop on Goodreads, so I can't find my page count from 2024.
Okay.
But I'm really curious. I should look on my phone and find it because I'm really curious what it would be. Because 2024 was when I read all of ACOTAR. And so
Oh,
I read a lot beefier books in 2024
you
than I
know,
did in 2025.
that's a great point. I read 4 out of the 5 ACOTAR books in
Yep.
2024. That's a very fair point. That is
I
a
mean,
very
the
fair
thickest
point.
books I read this year genuinely were the Love Arranged series. All of those are over 500. And
Hmm.
then the Empyrean, which the
Yeah.
first one's under 400, and then the next two are thicker.
Is it under 400? I think
No, sorry.
it's
It's
sub
right
five.
around 400 though. I think it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
480, no,
four. Yeah,
440 something.
something
Either
like
way,
that.
like if I consider a book smaller under 500 over 500,
Yeah,
that's kind of the threshold for me. These
yeah,
three were all over 500. The second two in the Empyrean are over 500. But like I didn't read anything super massive this year.
yeah. Interesting, man. Okay, okay, okay. So that's really interesting, and that also helps to your reading count, right? Your
Yeah.
number of books read. It's just going to help that number. So, but that's very interesting. So wait, what is your book average then? Let me do the math real quick. 34.
340-ish.
Okay, yeah, 321
Yeah.
for accuracy's sake. So okay, all right, that's a good.
So that tracks.
Yeah, I wonder what your shortest book is of the year.
I know. I really can't wait for Goodreads to actually post theirs so I can go
Yeah,
like deep diving into all like the shortest, the longest, the
yeah,
least rated, the most rated. I love digging down into those stats.
yeah. I'm a stat guy. I tell you what. That's why I love baseball. Baseball is just
Yeah.
like it's nothing but statistics.
Yep.
So
I
statistics
was
and
say
good vibes.
probably one of my shortest is because I did a reread on The Summer I Turned Pretty before the
Hmm.
final season came out, and all those books are under 300. So
Oh, yeah,
those are
that probably
probably up there.
probably right around there. I'm trying to think of what mine would be. I think I had one that was like 285, like the Longmire, the
Hmm.
Craig Johnson books. Walt Longmire, Walt Longmire, Walt Colt, Walt.
Cool.
We'll find out. I'll
I
Google it.
know.
But those books are like 300 pages, and I think the first
Yeah.
one is 280. So, and I always forget like a lot of the audiobooks that I listen to are shorter
That's
page
fair.
wise because I'm doing a lot more books that are your one for the money, your
Yep.
Longmire series, all that sort of stuff. So it makes sense why it would be like that. I think it's
Yeah, see, and that's not also not counting any of my like self-help, self-improvement.
Walt
That would
Longmire.
definitely be my shortest.
Oh, self help. You didn't include any self help books?
No, I did. I'm saying
Oh,
not I just wasn't thinking about them in my shortest pages and
sure,
things like that.
sure, sure, sure.
Cuz like most of those sit right around 200, 250.
Yeah. I saw a video, not to get too far off subject, about book pricing. And I've seen a couple of videos about it, and so like a lot of nonfiction books have a lull in the middle, and it's purely because they're trying to pad to hit a certain page count, so that way they go from 24.99 to 29.99.
Interesting.
Yeah, so for nonfiction. However, for books like anything Brandon Sanderson has written, is like the the most any fantasy book really is at most like 39.99, no matter
Yeah.
how big it is. It could be 850 pages. It's still going to be 39.99 or 29.99, even though you're getting so much more
Hmm.
content. And so that's part of the reason why he broke up all of his stuff into trilogies, so that way
Mhm.
he could be more marketable to publishers, and also it helps with getting on bookshelves, because if you go out and if you want to be a writer, something that I want to try and do is I want to write a book and I want to try and sell it. To be an author, it makes more logistical sense for a bookstore to buy 10 of your 400 page book than it is to buy 10 of your 800-page book because
Yeah.
it's just more space. You will sell less books if it's bigger, not because the
Yep.
price is different, but just because bookstores will have a harder time shelving them.
And I mean building hype. Also just, if you
Mm-hmm.
leave if you write two books instead of one, your halfway point's a cliffhanger. You're going to build hype for
100%.
that second book.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. So there's a lot of back end strategy to being a working author that I find very very interesting.
Oh, I do too.
So I
Yeah.
yeah, maybe that's a 2026 goal is write my first novel.
Good for you. Go for it, man.
I'll
Whew.
try. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
At
I
least
don't know.
start it. At
At
least
least
start it.
start it.
Yeah.
I in November. There's a thing called Novel November that a
Yep.
lot of authors do, and you write. I think it's 1,000 words a day.
Yeah.
It gets you to 30,000 words, which is like the length of a average novel. And so, yeah, I don't know why. There's something in me that just like gets me stuck, and I'm like, I have an idea. I think it could be this. Like just
Yep.
getting started. It's the same thing with being in a reading slump. You
Yep.
know, just start.
Just got to start.
Just got to start, and you should start, audience listener.
Heck
You should
yeah.
start. I'm shaking my thing. I'm
That's
pointing,
just like, whoa.
gyrating. I'm in your face. I'm intent.
So animated. So
So
passionate.
animated. Okay.
Speaking of animated and passionate, we had a lot of really good books.
Yeah, we
So,
did.
Austin, kick us off. Top five of the top five.
Yeah.
Are yours in order? Are you going like actual number one? Because mine will not be in order. I can't make that type of decision with 100 books. You can't tell me number one of them is one of absolutely number one.
I very much can tell you what my top five in order are.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I went through my list of 37 and went, no, I know these are my top five.
Okay.
So, and in order. So I'll start at number five.
Yep.
Number five, Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. Yeah,
Cute.
it
Cute.
it was everything that I wanted from a book that like is truly based on like rom-com movies.
Yep.
And it hits every single thing that you wanted to hit. It's a more adult story than the first one. Adult in like theory, not in like
Yeah.
yeah. And it just hit all of the emotions. I loved it. Nothing Like the Movies is a well earned number five spot for me.
Yes.
What
Okay.
about
So then
you?
in a similar vein, this one I am gonna kind of do a cop out. I feel like if reading the amount of books I'm gonna take some liberties. I'm gonna do I'm gonna do Good Spirits because like that genuinely completely shook me as a holiday book. Like
Really?
it was just phenomenal. Like I was so blown away expecting just, your cute little Christmas whatever, and then I'm sobbing through it and still thinking about these characters and the way they interacted and like their relationship with themselves, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. But then I also put the caveat of first time caller in there just because of how
Same
much
author.
it's the same author, right? And she was honestly like she's a new author for me this year. And so for me to really just get blown away by her as an author for both of them, is
Hmm.
why I'm putting her in that number 5, which is also why I'm going to bully you into reading First Time Caller because because it also kind of plays into Nothing Like the Movies where
Hmm.
it's based on Sleepless in Seattle.
Okay,
And so like you
gotcha.
kind of get those it's tropey in that intentional kind of way. The
Yeah.
next one is and now back to you, and I believe it's You've Got Mail is the trope that it's meant to be. And so
Nice.
it's going to be 3 books based off of 3 classic Meg Ryan romances.
That's
So
awesome.
like yeah, and so like that 5 for me was more just her as an author, but obviously those 2 are the books that I have read, and I just
Yeah.
so wonderful.
Nice. Very nice. It's definitely First Time Caller is absolutely on my list. It's gonna be one of the books that I read soon. Very, very
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how the audiobook is, because I would imagine if it's a radio show, like the audiobook has to have some kind of elements of that.
Oh, I'm sure. I actually I don't know, but I'm sure it would because I was gonna say because with you doing as much driving as you do,
Hmm.
do Good Spirits before the end of the year as an
Okay.
audiobook because he's Irish and it has that accent and they do a little bit of that like
Man,
additional.
people
It's
love an
so,
Irish narrator.
he's just so good with it too though. Like, and it's the type of dual narration where I like it because they don't just switch chapters. They do the dialogue within it as well.
Whoa, really? I've
Hmm.
never experienced that. It's always just been switch, 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 switch.
Nope.
And
Every
Liz
once
has
in a
really
while.
bumped into that. She hates that. She wishes that it was.
Yep. Every once in a while
Oh.
you'll find one where they actually come in between and the one I listened to was. So,
All right, adding that to my Libby as soon as we're done here. Okay,
absolutely. Yeah. It'd be a great little in the car for the end of the year.
perfect. Okay, number 4 for me or for you?
For you.
Oh, that's right. I was like, are we doing draft order? Where it's one, one, one? Yeah, doesn't matter. Number 4, the Walt Longmire series, The Cold Dish by Craig Johnson. The first one. I read 1 and 2. Number 1 was so beautiful. And the relationship that it has with the Native American culture, it being up in Montana is where it's based, or where the story is based out of. His best friend and sidekick is a Native American, and so it kind of has the Lone Ranger vibe to it, but in a more modern sense. And it also, one of the main reasons why this book ended up top 5. There were 2 reasons. There is a scene where Walt his and Henry Standing Bear go out to try and find this guy who is shooting people, who is sniping people. Goes out into nature when a blizzard is about to hit, and Henry Standing Bear gets shot, and he has to Walt Longmire has to drag himself through a blizzard, and he starts to see the ancestors. He starts to see like all of these different things, and that whole scene, the whole him trying to get out of this blizzard, is just breathtaking. And I truly loved it, every second of it. The other reason is because I now have added a bit into my vocabulary for
Mm-hmm.
one of these sayings that I am just like I have latched onto. I don't use it very much, but I think it all the time. And there's a character in this book who his daughter. The whole crux of the book is that someone is killing these guys that were all part of a gang rape of this guy's daughter. That they kind of got away with it a bit, and so someone is taking matters into their own hands. And the father is an old Native American man, and he goes, "Mm-hmm, yes, it is so." And it's just this like it's very calming.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Whenever he comes in, it's mm-hmm, yes, it is so. And so like whether it's good, bad, doesn't matter. It is so has stuck with me.
I love that.
And so big fan of the cold dish. Craig Johnson. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do more of these.
Yeah. Oh, and there's like 11 of
Yep,
them.
something like that.
Yeah. So you'll be. That's good. My mom is wanting to read those, and like she's been to Longmire Days. She's met a lot of the cast from the show because they all show up in Buffalo, Wyoming.
Wyoming, not Montana. Whoops.
I was gonna say I thought it was Wyoming because
It's Wyoming. It
I
absolutely
have a
is.
bunch of
It's a state
relatives,
with
and
a
so
lot of nature and not a lot of people.
yeah, no, pretty much, yeah. And so she's been up to Longmire Days and everything because that's one of her favorite shows, and so she's gonna start
Nice.
reading the books now. So
Have her
I,
listen to the audiobook because the narrator is so good.
I am trying so hard to get her into audiobooks. So good, that'll be the one that I'm like, okay, do it with this one.
Yep.
It's great.
Yes.
So okay, good. All right, number 4 for me, Atmosphere. At
Hey,
Taylor
this
Jenkins
is
Reid.
a recent one.
It is recent, and it was just it was honestly probably the most beautifully well written book that I read all year. Like the ones that go above this are more like story. I enjoyed them on more of a personal level,
Hmm.
probably. But like Atmosphere and the way Taylor Jenkins Reid writes books is just poetic. Like, there's no other way to explain the way that she pieces together a story with the way that she writes it and the way she develops characters throughout the entire thing, that like it hits so differently than anything else that I read, you know? And
Hmm.
so that one, I mean, it's also the book that I would say that I would recommend to the most people out of everything that I have read this year. You
Okay.
know, I mean, we talked that, I'm going to recommend the audiobook for Project Hail Mary as
Hmm.
like a number one audiobook. But like if you're looking for a book to read and you're like, I don't know where to begin, Atmosphere is probably going to be my go-to book recommendation going forward for just
Nice.
anybody that wants to get into reading. But the problem is like know that that's a top tier. I'm
Yeah.
setting you up to then be disappointed, but in a beautiful
You're
way.
starting at the mountaintop, baby. It's
A
all
hundred
downhill from
percent.
here.
100%, because it's just, yeah, I mean, her writing blows me away every time.
That's fantastic. It's once again another one that's on my list. Just
Yeah.
very, very good. Okay, number 3, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
Yes.
So good. Really, what a way to start a series. I did not put Iron Flame on my top 5. It was very good, but
That's fair.
spoiler, most people have read Fourth Wing at this point, but spoiler for the end of Fourth Wing, that cliffhanger of meeting, I'm going to spoil it, but
Yeah.
if you're gonna,
Spoilers. Spoilers.
the fact that Brennan shows up on the last page
The
and has been
last sentence.
the ah,
I stared at a wall. I stared at a wall for like
that
an hour.
that should, and the reason why I love it is because it should have been obvious. The
Yep.
amount that they talk about Brennan, it should be the most obvious thing on the planet that
Yep.
he 100% is going to be a part of the rebellion or part of the revolution, whatever you want to frickin' call it.
We are smarter than this, and yet
We
we're
are.
not.
And bang!
Yeah.
So perfect.
Yep. Oh,
So
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
enough said. Enough said.
Chills. I got chills just talking about that. Like, because so Fourth Wing was also like the first book that I think any time that I can remember I read in a day, start to finish, read it
Yeah,
in a day. It was
I
a
believe it.
I happened to get a freak snowstorm 2 years ago, whatever,
Hmm.
and was able to read it in a full day. And I seriously remember staring at a wall, and it had gotten late enough in the day that Ben was like, "So I guess I'm making dinner," and I'm like, "Huh? Did you just speak? Are there words? Because I
All right,
nothing.
hold on.
Brain
Where
is
am I? This
yeah.
isn't. This is not where I thought I was.
Nope. That last sentence killed me. Oh,
Incredible.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely incredible. It truly, like, I cannot think of a book that ended better. I think that might be my favorite ending to a book, maybe of all time, because it's just so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna get to my number 3, and then
Yeah.
I want to circle back on that though,
Okay.
the best ending thing.
Okay.
So number 3 is I'm gonna flip gears to another romance, and it's "Say You'll Remember Me" by Abby Jimenez.
Okay.
She is a Minnesota-based author. She started actually with baking and does cupcakes. So she has
Oh.
a baker. She has a couple cupcake places called Nadia Cakes up in Minnesota. She is a like 2, 3 times Cupcake Wars winner, and then has now writes books and lives in Minnesota. Anyway, those are just like side tangents to what incredible writing she does. Say You'll Remember Me. Literally, this girl saves a cat, walks into a vet, and says, "Please fix my cat. It doesn't have a butthole."
What?
That's the start of this book.
Incredible.
Yeah.
No, no.
And she said, and then they like it's insta love, which typically I don't love an insta love,
Mm-hmm.
but they hit it off. They have like one incredible date and evening, and the only reason she said yes to this date to begin with was because the next day she was moving to California. They were in Minnesota.
Ah.
She was moving to California,
Okay.
and it's all about how they do long distance. But the reason she's moving to California is so she can go help her mom with Alzheimer's, that's dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's.
Oh. Okay.
And so opening the veil a little bit, my grandfather has Alzheimer's, so this was also
Mhm.
just a really good time to be reading this book. I think it hit a little bit harder because it was so personal.
Yeah.
And like my mom read it with me, and it's really interesting because I like to read things that I'm going through. It helps me process.
Hmm.
My mom does not. She wants a full escape. She doesn't want
Mm.
any part of her book to be anything that she can relate to. She uses it as a full escape. I
Interesting.
like that slight connection. And so I think that's why this hit even deeper for me. Um, Partly though, also Abby Jimenez's writing is just that kind of Lynn Painter, very like witty and like it's all I can say is that it's how you would speak, which feels obvious for a book, but a lot
But
of
it's
times it's
not.
not.
It's hard.
It's
Writing
hard to get
is,
that cadence down.
yes.
hmm And she does a fantastic job. It's dual POV, which I love. I love the vet. I can't think of his name right now, but he's like quickly becoming the number one book boyfriend for so many people. Now,
Yeah.
I like one of her other ones better, but like he's fantastic, and it's just that book was really like the best romance that I have read all year long, hands
That's
down.
fantastic. And I love that it's so close to your heart with what's going on, and
Yeah.
that I I love that because I know that there are people like your mom who only read for escape. And
Yeah.
honestly, that absolutely I wouldn't say 100% describes me. I think it's like 85% describes me
Oh
though.
yeah, I like both.
Sure. But so to have that emotional tie to it, just like, and the fact that it was such a good book,
Yeah.
like, that's really beautiful. That's really
Yeah.
fantastic.
Definitely helped.
Good. You said you wanted to circle back to best endings.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll just go ahead then and do my number 2 and number 1 because
Okay.
it's kind of the same one and then you can go from there.
Sure.
So, my number 2 and number 1 are tied. I could not tell you actually which one I liked better or worse.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh. I both of them again were the closest that I have been to a reading slump all year. Thankfully I had some good stuff backed up against it, and partly like dystopian fantasy I have a harder time getting to a reading slump because I know I have a romance to fall back on, and that's kind
Ah,
of like my
okay.
safe genre. Those don't put me in slumps as much as a really good romance does,
Okay.
and I don't
Gotcha.
know why. But 2 and 1, Sunrise on the Reaping, the newest Hunger Games,
Hmm.
and Onyx Storm.
Okay. All right.
So, Sunrise on the Reaping, and both of those, the ending on those books. So, Onyx Storm, I will not go into these books are too new. I'm not going to go into spoilers with them. And
Okay.
partly you haven't read them either, so like there's not really going to be a whole lot to discuss. But like Sunrise on the Reaping, you think has this wonderful little bow, and it's sad and it's traumatic, and like, but it's Sunrise, like it's Hunger Games. You knew that it wasn't going to have a happy ending by any
Yeah.
means, and so you get to this point where you're like, okay, this is probably the end. It's abysmal, it's whatever. And then you turn the page and you realize you have about 30 pages left. And you start to get really scared because what the hell is going to happen in those 30 pages? And
Oh.
Suzanne Collins takes a knife, stabs it into your heart, and continues to twist for 30 pages. And I bawled. I was shaking. I was so unwell at these pages.
Oh
And
my
it's just
gosh.
like, and it just hits and it hits and it hits. And it was one of those that hits so hard you have to reread it because you don't believe what you're reading.
Oh man.
And the whole book was fantastic. The
Uh-huh.
entire book, I mean, Suzanne Collins could write a grocery list and publish it, and I'd be like, yes, please.
Yeah.
But like, the entire book was so well written that then you get to that, and you just get to this piece where you're like, okay, it's bad. My eyes are tearing up, but you know what? It's a good ending. Why are there more pages?
Oh, it had. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
nuts.
Yep. It was painfully unwell. Painfully unwell.
Wow. I tell you what.
Oh, so bad. And then Onyx Storm, which actually that came out after Onyx Storm.
Uh-huh.
But Onyx Storm, so the first like chunk of Onyx Storm, I just had questions. I was
Uh-huh.
really confused, and I had just finished Iron Flame, so I was just confused.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you get through it, and you're like, okay, whoa. everything that's happening is just so much, it's just information overload in your brain. And it starts to wrap up these nice little things, and it starts to wrap up these nice little things. And then towards the end, this is like a minor spoiler, but like I won't give enough away for it to be a full spoiler.
Okay.
You start to get some new point of views,
Okay.
which is a little sus. Why aren't we sticking with our main point of views?
Yeah.
Then you figure out why in the last 2 pages.
2?
And if you think Brennan coming back was bad, just wait.
Dog, I don't know if I can handle this. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. I
Oh,
was
no.
angry. I was angry and crying all at the same time. Because then you realize why you had these point of views.
Uh-huh.
And you're just like, why? Why? Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm
And
so
who knows
excited.
when we'll get the next one, so you just get to sit.
You just sit with
Everyone
it. You're
just
stuck
sit
with
with
it.
it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I'm so excited, but I'm scared.
Yep. Yep.
Is that the correct emotions?
100%. 100%. And it's like, so I made Ben read all of these, and I told him, I was like, look, you need to just suffer through the first half because you're gonna be confused. You are. But it starts to wrap up, and you end the book with enough answers for a satisfying ending, with a whole lot of what the actual flip did I just read?
Yeah.
Anger, sadness, and then you're just left with this feeling of dread because you have so many questions and you don't know why you have these questions and you don't know that you're going to get answers because it's Rebecca Yarros. And there's a good chance that you don't get any answers.
Oh. Well, I'm ready to have my
Gorgeous.
heart ripped out. I'm
Yep.
ready for it.
It's gorgeous.
Goodness. Hope I get that for Christmas.
Right. So good.
Very good. Okay. All right. I got my top 2 left.
Yep.
Number 2 came all the way back in January for me. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. The 5th of the ACOTAR series.
Yeah.
I freaking love this book. And I'm pissed that everyone is just like, oh, this is the one where they bang all the time. No.
No.
This book is so much deeper and is so beautiful in that and I was talking to a friend of mine who his sister didn't love the vibes of the first 3 because it was build to chaos, right? And it was
Yeah.
so heavy. And this is the opposite. This is someone who has dealt with chaos and is learning to relax and is learning to love and is learning to trust again and to trust at all. Like
Yeah.
she never did. We
Yeah.
like it's so and I think the romance is so much better than Farah and Rhysand. Like I think that it's a better romance, it's a better couple, it's a more believable couple and I resonated so much more with both of them and the interactions that they had. It just felt so much more real. I don't know what else to say other than it.
Yeah. I really wish it would have been a different trilogy because like
Yeah.
I love those first 3 books so much and I love Reese and Farah. I mean like I loved them so much that then to have a book that's technically part of that and in that world be so different was really hard for me because like I'm one of those that while I don't dislike that book, I like the first 3 better. But I also completely understand and see everybody that is like you, where that book is their favorite because it's her coming to peace. I mean, for me, it also like one of the parts that hit the absolute like hardest, and again, this book is old enough, we'll do spoilers, so quick little
Yeah.
spoiler thing, is when both of them have that oh fuck we're mates
Yep.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely different than Reese and Farah.
Yeah.
But it did also bother me that by the end of the book, they're together and that they've admitted their feelings, but neither one of them ever say, I love you.
I get it. I can see bumping up
It
against
kind
that.
of bothers me.
It
Not enough to detract, but like
yeah.
uneasy.
It's more of an acts of service. I love you,
Right.
which I can totally understand bumping up against, for sure.
I think I bumped it up against it more for her only because she is somebody that needs that reassurance. You know,
Mm,
she needs it from all angles right now.
yeah, yeah,
She's not
I
going to
get
believe
that.
actions because you can manipulate actions just as much as she needs the words because you can manipulate words. Like she needs it from all angles right now, you know. And so I would have liked to see that, but I agreed. I mean that book is all of those books are phenomenal.
All the books are really, really good, and I'm very critical of the first three because of the fifth one.
Yeah.
And like looking back at if I look back at reading the first three, I really enjoyed them in the moment, and the Sarah J. Maas knows how to write an ending, like an action packed ending. She nails it, absolutely. But all of the love and romance of it wasn't my style.
Yeah.
And I know that that might paint me in a weird picture, knowing what the romance of the fifth book is, where it's very physical, it's very hands on, and and all that sort of stuff. But it's a much more thoughtful, like it's a more playful
Yeah.
type of romance, and
Yep.
it is in all of those. The one thing that we talked about in a spicy romance when we did Horny Court was that it has to be earned, and every
Yep.
single one of those sex scenes earned, because when it's
Oh,
not earned, she just goes over. She just is like, and then we fucked, like, and we banged, like that was it. No description of it, but
yep.
every single one that was described earned and necessary to the story.
Absolutely.
So I love Court of Silver Flames.
Yep. I
Easy
love
number
that.
two.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Number one, my number one book is Skin Game by Jim Butcher. It is the 15th book in the Dresden Files series, in the Harry Dresden series. And here's why. Okay? For 14 books, we have built up a number of things that all come. This was an Avengers book. Like
Oh,
the
yep.
the everyone comes together. Like we now have so in this one we have my favorite bad guy of all time, Nicodemus Arcleon,
Yep.
um, and he wants to steal relics from when Jesus died on the cross from Hades.
Yep.
Like Hades is a museum collector, right? And like it's crazy. It's nuts. It makes no. It's so fucking wild. I love it.
Yeah.
And so, but in this book has one of my absolute favorite moments, and it is 100% Christian coded, and I love it. It is so in. I've told you about this series how they have the Knights of the Cross,
Yep.
where they have swords that are made from the nails that nailed Jesus to the cross. Right?
Yep.
They are God's warriors. Right? One of the swords breaks, and against a guy who is effectively a full demon. The sword breaks, and Harry Dresden has the pommel and a little bit of a blade left on it. And he goes and he throws it to who he thinks should have this sword of hope, right? Throws it to one of the other knight's wives. It bounces off of her hand, bounces off of another thing, and lands in the in the coroner Butters his hand, and it lights up like a lightsaber. And it's the most like let go and let God moment,
Yeah.
because he's like, I know what I must do. I have to get this to this person, and that's what's going to say. And he throws it, and it has a miraculous bounce into someone else's hands, and he just has to put his hands up of like, well, okay,
Yep.
uh,
Uh,
and and straight up just like Nicodemus Arcleon is not fully defeated in this book, but he is brought low to the point where it does not seem like he will ever be a big enough bad guy for the series again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was done in such a great way that my little Catholic heart just like glows and grows
Yeah.
and just shows that like, hey, there are people in this world that you don't expect them to be the hero, and they are, and you need to give them the chance to be.
I
And
love
so
that.
I love this book and all the stuff leading up to it. It like the books leading up to it help. So you can't just like pick this one up because there are a lot of characters you
Right.
need to know ahead of time. But man, it's an Avengers. The whole team's coming together to defeat a real big bad guy, and it's a heist
Yep.
book also. So like,
Yeah.
love a good heist book. It's
Yeah.
so good. Skin Game by Jim Butcher. That's my number one read of 2025.
Amazing.
Okay, we gotta hustle a little bit because I don't know what I'm not keeping a timer this time because I knew we were gonna just rock and roll through it. But
We're rocking and rolling.
yes, we're doing great. Okay, so before we get into bottom three of the bottom three, let's talk about the author that we read most. And the
Yep.
reason why I say that is mostly because I'm already talking about Jim Butcher, so I'm gonna keep on talking about Jim
Keep
Butcher.
on talking about him.
I read book 11 through 17 of the Dresden Files. And by read, I mean I listened to because
That's fair.
James Marsters is
Yeah.
so good. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so Jim Butcher was my most read author by far.
Nice. Which then also probably gave a pretty high average rating for his books.
Yep, every single one was a 5 star. I take that back. There's
Amazing.
one that I gave a 4 star to. Don't remember what it was, but every single one of his books is 5 star for me. For me.
Amazing.
I don't think they're 5 stars for everybody, but I'm
That's fair.
so engrossed in that character that it's 5 stars all the way.
Amazing. We love that.
Yeah.
For me, it was Casey West.
Okay.
She used to only do YA, and then this year she has started to do some adult romance.
You've told me about it.
Um,
Yeah.
yes, and I've read 6 of her books this year. She's one that I got a lot on NetGalley. I did a lot of arcs for her.
Okay.
Um, and
Are these all
surprisingly,
in a series or are they
nope.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. Yep. A lot of them she did. The reason I got them on NetGalley was quite a few of them were re-releases with a new cover. And sometimes those will pop up on NetGalley for me to read for free.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say, average probably was like a 3.5 for all of those books.
Okay.
I really enjoy her adult writing. I will not be continuing any more of her YA writing.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
We've just reached that point now where I still like a YA fantasy. I like a YA mystery. I like a YA thriller.
Mm-hmm.
YA romances are a lot harder. Like I still loved Better Than the Movies, even though that's technically a YA.
Yeah.
But for Casey West, I just think that we're sunsetting the YA for her, especially because she is doing adult now, and her adult romances are way cuter, much more my speed.
Well, there you go. It's
Yeah,
not saying goodbye to the author. It's just
correct.
growing with the author.
Yep. Because I also think, like, and we'll get into goals. One of my goals for 2026 is just to be a little bit pickier on my arc reads. I think I got
Oh.
really excited on how many I could get approved for,
Mm-hmm.
and they ended up kind of all being mediocre because I was just applying for anything.
Sure.
Where next year I want to be a lot more intentional with what I'm choosing and like reading books that like genuinely really excite me or that are like really hyped up that I want to, get to or whatever. Just being a little bit more picky on the arcs that I choose because kind of like to the Casey West side of things, like I should have stopped asking for her YA books.
Yeah.
I knew they were going to be mid and they were.
Yeah. Yep. I get that. I totally get that. That's a good way to reflect on who you were in 2025 and wanting to be better in 2026.
Exactly.
Okay, should we get to the bottom of the bottom?
Absolutely.
Okay, we did the bottom three of the bottom three, and oh boy, I'll let you go first. What's your
Okay.
what's your number three? Are yours in order? I guess I should ask because mine
Yes.
are. Okay.
Yeah, mine are. So my bottom one is I said I wasn't going to do any that I DNF'd, but this one I read until 90%, so I'm going
Yeah.
to count it.
Yep.
It's Some Kind of Famous by oh shoot, I lost the author.
Doesn't matter.
Some
Don't
Kind
read
of
the
Famous
book.
by Ava Wilder.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, nothing about this book was entertaining. I mean, like, that's a lie. There were mild moments where I was like, this is kind of cute. And, like, I really enjoyed our male main character.
Mm-hmm.
But they described her as being sharp.
Mm.
She had sharp features.
Yeah.
That's not a way to describe a woman.
That's
We are not
pretty
sharp
pretty
objects.
villainy.
I'm literally picturing Disney villain. Like that's
Yeah,
what I think
Cruella
of when I think of
Deville is
sharp.
what I would
Cruella Deville.
picture. Yeah.
Yes. And her family is mean to her the entire book and never gets any better.
Gross.
And then at 90% we get an accidental pregnancy. And that is like one trope that, especially as part of a breakup, like third act conflict, I can't stand.
Yeah.
So I was like, absolutely not. Like the writing in it was childish. It didn't flow very well. It felt very choppy. It was going to only be like a 1 or 2 star. And then we got to the accidental pregnancy at 90%. And I was like, nope, I don't care.
Goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's tough. That's really tough. My number three, and I do feel bad about this one, because it is Flipping Boxcars by Cedric the Entertainer.
Okay.
And when I reviewed this book, the thing that I said most is clearly this guy is a really good storyteller, just not a very good writer. And
Yeah, that's
the
hard.
yeah, because the story itself is fine. Like it's pretty interesting. It's about a guy who is trying to make basically he's a guy who's very lucky. He sets up a craps game in like 1940s uh, Georgia, and he sets up a craps game, ends up like going on a real big cold streak, and puts his wife's deed on like one roll to, he's hoping to flip boxcars where he would throw the
Yep.
dice and it would land on 12. If he does that, he comes back even. And it the story around the craps game about like living in a town in the South, being black, and the struggles that go with that, really great, honestly. Really enjoyed that part of the book. But where it goes bad is that they just kind of I mean, number one, they got the rules of craps wrong. It's not
Oh,
a
that's
game.
not fun.
Yeah, it's not a game where, number one, it's not like a poker game that you can set up and be a part of. If you set it up, you're the house. And so
Yeah.
you should win if everyone else is doing poorly. And in this, it's like the players were against each other, which doesn't make any sense. Because where does the money come from? And
Yeah.
and like when he lays down the deed on boxcars and he loses, a guy takes the deed. Like, not the house, a guy does. A
Yeah, that
guy
doesn't make
who's
sense.
who's just invited to this game. And so it doesn't make sense. He if it would be a much more interesting story of he's the house and he's got this game going and he's grinding up a whale, and then the whale goes on a hot streak.
Yeah.
And he can't afford his winnings. So he gives him the deed to the house. That's a much better way of doing a craps game than like having them be against each other. And so I know that like there are like back in the day, craps is a little bit different. Like there are older versions of craps where where it's just two people on the street rolling trying to see who sevens out first kind of thing. Like that's where craps
Yeah.
originally started. But this isn't that. It's very clearly they have a big table. They have people around. There are chips. Like it is very clearly modern craps played wrong. And so I didn't vibe with all that, and like the story itself goes a little bit goes a little bit off the rails. Pun intended, because he steals a boxcar. Like, that's legitimately a thing. And so it was fine. The story elements were there, but the writing just wasn't very good. And
That's
then, as
such
a
a bummer.
guy who had a TikTok page all about craps, I know what craps is like.
Yup,
So yeah, that's my number three.
that's fair. Okay. So my then number two
Hmm.
is I had been trying really hard to read a lot of my like backlog books, like ones that I have had since before I moved into this house.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of those I literally picked up for like $1 on my Nook or whatever when they would have sales and whatever. One of them is Friended
Okay.
by Kilby Blades. It is a nostalgia fanfic. It's a YA, and nothing about this book was I only reason I finished it was because I did enjoy the plot of the book. The men in the book they're the boys because they were in high school. The boys in the book go from being like very nice gentlemen to complete assholes with
Mm.
the flip of a switch. Like, we don't like whiplash on what's going on between these guys. The girls in it are like not well written and very one dimensional. They're like they came out in like 2017, but they're talking about Instagram as though it was like early days of MySpace, and
Oh,
like the way they post things to get another person so another person sees it, and it's all very like cryptic and messaging and things, and it's like you don't know how, like, don't try to make something that exists like a social media platform into something that it's not
yeah.
and has never been.
Hmm.
And so there was a lot, like, 'cause you could like comment on the actual photo itself, and that was like put words on photos, and then you can add words to other people. I don't, there was a whole like other layer to like the social media side of things that didn't write
Weird.
well, and it was honestly just dumb, like unintelligent dumb. Like, there was, like I said, I finished it because I did enjoy the plot, but
Hmm.
the characters, the way it was written, the rest of it was just not for me at all, and I
I
wouldn't even say it was a good
haven't
YA.
I haven't ever read a fanfic that I liked.
Yeah.
I just have never done that. It's never been a thing. There are some people who love a good fan fiction. Like Butcher and Blackbird, I think is technically a fanfic, and didn't care for it. Okay.
So, Allie Hazelwood
Yeah,
is the queen of fanfics. All of
okay.
her books are based off of like
Another thing.
yeah, like The Love Hypothesis is Adam Driver. You know,
Oh,
like,
interesting.
yeah, and that movie's coming out, which fantastic, love that. But
Mhm.
like, and like, I love all of her books, and like I've read After by Anna Todd. They were
Okay.
turned into Netflix movies, but they were a Wattpad fanfic
Don't know what that
for
means.
Harry Styles, I believe. Wattpad was just a old blog that people used to
Got
write
it.
pages for.
Got
Um,
it.
the original version of your
Fan
fanfic. That's where it
fiction.
used to go.
Got it. Okay.
And they got turned into movies, and I enjoyed most of those books. I can't finish the series now because I'm just too old for it, and
Hmm.
it gets real dark and stuff. But like at the time, I enjoyed those. So I'm not opposed to a fanfic. This was just horrendous.
Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. All right, my number two. The Village Library Demon Hunting Society by C.M. Wagner. I've read a couple of C.M. Wagner's books, and I think I'm just not a fan of her as an author. She also wrote some like the another like witch magic thing,
Yeah.
bad whatever. I didn't like it. This one is especially atrocious because it's the whole theme is not Groundhog Day, but like they are stuck in a time loop, and
Okay.
there are like cracks that happen and sort of thing, and
Mhm.
it just plumb doesn't make sense. That's really what it comes down to. Like, there were a couple of interesting moments and fun ideas that just didn't really go anywhere, and yeah, it's not great. The characters are mid. Nothing really stands
Yeah.
out. So that was it's just not good is all I can
Yeah.
say. So,
Yeah.
number two on my bottom three.
That's fair. Yep. My number one speaks to a lot of that as well. I'm doing Tonight the Streets Are Ours. I've talked about it on here by
Yeah.
Leela Sales. Yeah, I mean the I finished it and I really, really don't know why I did because I didn't even like the plot. I mean the friend did I at least cared enough about the plot to finish it. I didn't like the plot. I didn't like either one, the male or the female character. I didn't like the side characters. I thought it was written poorly.
Hmm.
I Nope, there was not. I mean, literally the only thing that I could say positive about this book was that it was kind of interesting that the kind of dual POV that they were using was her reading the male main character's blog. Was kind of a unique
Okay.
take on it.
Interesting.
But even then, cool. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
it was not that was really
Also,
redeeming
what a
quality.
cliche title.
Yeah.
Tonight the streets are ours. Like,
And he says it. He says it in the book. I'm
of
like,
course
that's
he does.
worse.
Yeah, of course he does.
That's worse.
Roll credits.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right, my worst book was actually the first book that I finished in 2025. It's called Ghost Radio by Leopoldo Gout. And the reason why I finished it was because Pedro Pascal was the narrator
Nice.
in the audiobook. And truly, that is the only thing that got me through this book because
Yep.
big Pedro Pascal like fan, enjoy his
Obviously.
movies and everything. But it's a book about like a guy who I don't even know. It's a guy who has a radio show that is similar to it's based on like Coast to Coast. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah.
okay.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's all about people calling in and telling their ghost stories, right? Telling that they saw this thing and him taking it seriously. And he hears like a thing in the static and it causes him to like go places and black out and whatever. There's a whole scene in the middle where he has gone to a hospital. This is a flashback where he had to go to a hospital because he and his buddy like broke into a radio station that like had water on the ground and they got electrocuted, I guess. And he ends up going his friend dies, he goes to the hospital and then the cartel shoots up the hospital and takes him out of it and we never understand why.
Nope.
We just never get that. And it has the dumbest, cliched bullshit ending of any book I have ever read, where the whole thing is that he keeps hearing a thing in the static, and then he, like, passes over to the other side and becomes the thing in the static, trying to reach the girl that he loves. And it's like, fuck you, this sucks.
Nope.
I
No.
hate it. I
No.
hate it so much. It's
That's so
just
dumb.
stupid.
That's so
Oh,
dumb.
it was the worst. Easily the worst book I read in 2025. Easily.
You
Not
had a trip in January then, reading
I
both your best and your worst book in January.
really did. Really,
Wow.
man, I tell you what. Yeah, it was
Oh,
January was both the height of the mountain and the bottom of the valley.
truly.
Oh goodness. All right, we got to get out of here. 2026 goals coming up right after this. Chit Chat Chapters, we're back with 2026 reading goals. We talked about the books that we loved this past year, but now we've got reading goals looking ahead. Lauren, you said you are changing how many your goal for the books are. Since you blew yours out of the water,
Yeah.
what's the goal for how many books you want to read this year?
I'm gonna do 100. I just want to see if I can hit it again.
Yeah.
I just want to see
Yeah,
if I can.
yeah,
I won't.
yeah,
And the thing
yeah.
is, I won't be mad if I don't. If I don't hit it, I will not be upset with myself. I
Yeah.
just want to see if I can.
That's a crazy goal. That is
I know.
crazy. Like I'm doing the same goal I had this year at
Yeah.
52. A book a
A week.
week.
Yeah.
Like especially cuz with audiobooks like I feel like I can bust through a couple of them if I'm ever like, in a tight spot. But like
Yep.
100 books in a year is very commendable. Like that's awesome.
We're
And
gonna
to have
see.
that as a goal, it's awesome.
We're just gonna have a silly, goofy time.
So just have a silly goofy time. Absolutely. So 100 books for you, 52 books for me. Let's actually jump down to our genre-based goal because
Cool.
you
Yeah.
and I both agreed that we wanted to have a goal that wasn't just books read, but like something genre-based
Yep.
because we found kind of where our hearts lie with genres.
Oh
And so
yeah.
how do we branch out from there? What is your genre-based goal?
I mean, so like reading 100 books, obviously, I would say I do a decent job of at least touching other genres.
Hmm.
I mean, I love a good memoir. I can't wait for my Wrapped to come out because I do want I like how it breaks it down how many genres you've read and everything.
Yeah.
I love a good memoir. I love a nonfic, whatever. But I think this year I really want to dive into more fantasy and more contemporary fiction.
Hmm.
Like romantasy, fantasy, same kind of thing for me. But like there are so many ones that I have been excited to read, but I just get a little bit nervous to. I
Yeah.
think that's why I haven't read like Six of Crows or Quicksilver or any of those because I just get slightly nervous. The
Yeah.
only real fantasy that I have read is Fourth Wing and ACOTAR.
Hmm.
And so like this is the year I want to do I want to do Throne of Glass. I want to
Yeah.
like dig into more fantasy, and then on the flip side, because I love romance so much, I'd love to read a little bit more contemporary because
Hmm.
that feels like a very close enough that I think I'd really enjoy it, and also just branch out into a little bit more variety, a little bit more well-rounded from
I
there.
like that. I like that. I have a number goal. I want to hit 10 different genres,
Love that.
and one of them has to be nonfiction.
Good for you. Good. Does that
Yeah,
count like a memoir or
I
like you want
don't
like legit
know.
nonfiction?
I don't know. It has to be nonfiction. I'm not tying it down to anything.
Good.
I need to find a book that is nonfiction that I can vibe with because I have really struggled with anything that is reading nonfiction. And even one I told you about that some people say is fiction, but like the like diary of a not executioner. That's not it. When people get demons out of people.
Exorcist.
Exorcist. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a guy who was an exorcist for the Vatican, and he
Hmm.
wrote a book, and it's not very long. It's like 230 pages. I should be able to read it,
Yep.
but I just haven't because it's nonfiction and it feels like homework. So,
Start with the audiobook of Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
oh, I bet that would be a great way to
It's
start.
fantastic.
I like
It's
that.
what started me with memoirs and on nonfiction.
Okay. All right. Perfect. If it got you started, I feel pretty confident it can get me started.
So good. It's so good.
Very nice. Okay. One pick for 2025 that we are definitely rolling over into 2026. What is a book that you just kept looking at your TBR and was like, I should read that? And it just didn't happen. What
Yep.
is that book for you?
Spark of the Everflame. It's now a there's now 3 of them, but I should have and I wanted to and I just didn't get into Spark of the Everflame. Everybody has said that it's so good for people if you like ACOTAR, if you like Fourth Wing, like it's another top tier fantasy. Like people are putting it over like Six of Crows and all the um Leverse and all the like people have said that
Uh-huh.
this is a top tier romantasy, and I kept staring at it and I just didn't, and it's top priority. I'm
Okay.
pushing it.
Very nice. Okay. Mine is I've talked a lot about my religion in this episode. The book is The Curse He Chose by Sister Allison Regina Gliot. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. A nun wrote a series, like kind of a YA series, about someone who meets a vampire. And what, like, can someone truly never be saved? Is the question.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so a nun wrote this as a fantasy book that is to be kind of a beacon for people who enjoy fantasy, but there are a lot of people in the religious community that do not vibe with reading about vampires, that read about demons, like it's saying it's opening you up to these evil spirits, when in reality stories are stories and are
Yeah.
and you know, you have, there are good stories, there are bad stories. Stories are for learning, even if, you know, it just, I'm so excited. I want to read it. I think it's got like three, I think it's a trilogy, but I'm so excited to just start it.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Curse He
That's oh,
Chose.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that might be adding to my TBR too now.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to do a dual POV on that one.
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay. Most anticipated reads of 2026. These are books that have not been released yet.
Correct.
What are, you want to just give me your three?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Austin made me limit it to 3, which is
Yes.
almost impossible for me. Because that doesn't even let me like really dive into both my romance and my fantasy picks. So fine. I'm gonna just do romance ones.
Okay.
Um, The Night We Met, Abby Jimenez. It is the second book, so they're of the interconnected to say You'll Remember Me. So
Okay.
one of my
Checks
top
out.
books is the
Makes
second
total
one.
sense why you're looking forward to that book.
Absolutely. And now back to you, BK Borison. It's the second one
Yep.
to First Time Caller. I cannot stop talking about all her and all of it. So absolutely, it's the Weatherman, and I'm so excited. Weather people, I'm
Nice.
so excited. I love me a nerdy weather person. And then last but not least, In Her Own League by Liz Tomforty. She's the one that did the Windy City, all 5 of the
Okay.
Windy City series. This is a standalone, but it is the father of one of the female main characters that is the manager of the baseball team. So it's interconnected, but
Oh,
it's not meant to be part of the original 5.
nice.
Yeah, it's its complete own standalone that just happens to have some of the same characters.
That'll be great. That sounds like it'll be awesome. And you
And it's like
love that
January,
series.
February, and March. So I'm like right off the bat, just
Perfect.
knock them out.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, my three. The first one is one that you actually uh, put me onto. A Darker Shore: Letters from Ketterdam by Lee Bardugo.
Yep.
She love Lee Bardugo. This is a prequel to Six of Crows, which one of my all-time favorite books I've ever read. Very love that book. I'm sure this will hit just as hard because she's a great author.
Have you read Ninth House by her?
Yeah, yeah, baby.
Um, should have also told you the second one is coming out for that next year too.
You mean the third one?
Third one, yes.
Yeah, because I read Ninth House and whatever the second one is this year.
Yep. And this one is Dead something. But yeah, it's also coming out next year.
Yeah, really, really good. Lee Bardugo, phenomenal author. Very excited for anything she writes. This next one, I literally just Googled books coming out 2026, you know, fantasy novels, and I want you to look up the cover for this. It's Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather
Hmm.
Fawcett.
No, so I know this book. I
Do
know
you
what you're
really?
talking about. Yes. I just watched a YouTube video on it. So okay, Heather Fawcett, have you read
Nope.
Emily Wilde's Guide to Encyclopedia of Fairies?
Nope.
She does cozy romances.
Okay. All right.
So that's where this comes in.
Yeah, baby. I'm so in.
Yeah.
I read the first two sentences of the summary and was like, "That's it. I'm in. All right, cool.
Yep.
Lock it up." Let me
Yep.
pull that up real quick because it is so good.
So the first two ones literally like the main the like one paragraph one just says a woman who runs a cat rescue in the 1920s Montreal turns to a grouchy but charming wizard to help save the shelter in this heartwarming cozy fantasy from New York Times bestselling author of Emily Wilde series.
That's all I needed. Oh,
Fantastic.
it's a cat shelter and there's a wizard. I'm
Yeah.
in.
Yep.
You've convinced me.
Yep.
And finally, this should come as no surprise to anybody. It is the
What?
next book in the Harry Dresden series, 12 Months by Jim Butcher. It is the 18th book in the series, and the last two books felt like a conclusion. Felt like this was going to be the
Ooh.
end of Harry Dresden. He's going to ride off into the sunset, except for the last like 30 pages. And then
Mm.
it kicked off another thing. and it didn't sit super well with me because I was like, this was such a really nice, like, this was a world-ending thing, but there's one more step from world-ending, and I think that we are getting into, I think this is going, I don't know, I haven't read anything, this is pure speculation. This feels like the second to last Harry Dresden book. Like, this is going to be him preparing for this awful war that's going to go off.
Yep.
And so we'll see how it goes, but I'm so excited for another Harry Dresden book. Just so excited.
Amazing. You know what I'm excited for?
Tell me.
2026 reads.
Yeah.
Just all of them.
Just all of them. Excited for it. Get hyped.
Yeah.
We'd be reading in 2026.
We'd be reading lots.
You're going to have to be reading lots.
No.
You have to finish a book every 3 days. You know that, right?
Yeah.
It's totally fine. You can do that. You do that in your
I
sleep.
can do that. Yeah.
Just
close
you
enough.
listening to audiobooks as you sleep. Does that count? Counts in Libby.
I mean, they used to say you could sleep on your textbook and absorb the words. So
Yeah.
same thing.
Same thing. Count it. You need to take an AR test after everyone to count it as a book read. You remember AR
Yeah.
test? Yeah. That's what we got to do. That's got to be it. So.
Yep.
But very exciting. Very excited for 2026, especially with this podcast. We're gonna keep on keeping on, and thank you to everyone who has listened to the first couple of episodes. And for all the stuff that's coming your way, we're very excited for what's happening here. Lauren, we're wrapping up. Where can people find you on the internet?
Yes, of course, I am on Lauren's Lifestyle across the board. YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Once you find the little profile picture of me, you know you got it. And I also just want to say that among the new things kicking off, be on the lookout, dual POV.
Yeah.
We read different books. Sometimes we read the same book, and we're going to deep dive into those. So like we said, 2026 is going to be an exciting year. We're going to launch some new stuff, and I'm ready for it.
I'm very excited for it as well. The first one is Project Hail Mary, and we dive very deep into that book. Very, very
Oh,
deep.
yeah.
So very excited for that. I'm Austin. You can find me on social media that I may or may not use at Radio Guy Austin. Thanks so much for listening. And as always, keep on reading.